What are the 6 biggest mistakes when launching an Etsy shop? How do you make sure that you launch and get started on the right foot? How do you ensure that you don't hear crickets when you start? I've worked with over 700 Etsy sellers and prospective Etsy sellers, and in today's video, I'm going to dive into the top 6 biggest mistakes that I see, hands down, when people are starting an Etsy shop. And this is not just bad photos, bad SEO. It's a lot more than that. So if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Dylan Jarris, and I'm an Etsy seller of about 7 years now. I've sold over $1.5 million in revenue on the platform, and that's actually over $1 million in profit. And I also sell on Amazon and Shopify, and my entire background is corporate e-commerce, where I worked for big companies like Zappos and Zulily in the buying, product development, planning, forecasting side of things. And now I teach Etsy sellers and prospective Etsy sellers just like you how to start an Etsy shop and how to scale to multi-6 figures. My program is called Multi-6-Figure Etsy Blueprint. So at this point, I've worked with over 700 Etsy sellers and prospective Etsy sellers. Out of this group, about half of them are either much smaller shops. Maybe they have 100 sales or less. Maybe they don't even have a shop open yet. Maybe they just know they want to sell on Etsy and they don't know where to start. The other half of my students, I work with some very, very large shops. I have a big group of shops that actually do over $1 million a year in their revenue. And a lot of them have, 50 to 80,000 sales on Etsy. Some of those shops have been on Etsy for 10 plus years. And you might think, why did they come to me for help? Typically, it's because they're not seeing consistency in their business right now. So their sales are up and down with the economy. Maybe they had a good 2020, 2021 when the free money was flying out from the government, but right now sales are a little soft. And at that level, they typically have employees. So that's a big problem if they're not seeing consistency. So those are kind of the 2 types of shops that I work with. So in today's video, I'm going to dive into the 6 huge mistakes that I see with brand new shops that are launching on Etsy. And I'm going to share these things so that hopefully you do not make the same mistakes. Because I know after working with a lot of people, about half the time, if someone doesn't see results on Etsy within the first, 3 to 6 months, they're typically not going to keep trying, or they're just going to sit it on the back burner and kind of forget about it. Number 1, copying bestseller listings. You guys, if you've been on YouTube looking up Etsy content for a while, you know the videos I'm talking about. Look up the bestsellers, copy them, tweak them, change something small about them. It's just searching for bestsellers through Everbee, and then doing the exact same thing in a slightly different way, and then taking that design of the bestseller and changing something small about it. Well, you guys, this does not work. This is not a real long-term strategy. The reason being is that typically those best-selling listings are from established shops that have a good track record, strong reviews, and oftentimes they're able to take a lower margin because they're doing a higher volume of sales. I do not recommend taking a market leader listing from a bestseller shop, copying it and tweaking it to try to compete head-to-head with them. If you do that, you're going to be constantly chasing, right? Chasing trends, chasing bestsellers, and you're going to have to constantly be keeping your eyes open for new bestseller listings so that you can quickly copy them and try to steal some market share. On the other hand, sure, we can look at bestseller listings and look for the common threads of what Etsy customers like. What are the commonalities between the bestsellers? What are the commonalities between the things on the first page of Etsy search? Look for the common threads of what people like. Maybe it's a certain pattern or motif. Maybe it's a certain font that you're seeing is really popular. Maybe you're seeing a certain common thread with the best sellers. Maybe they're all the same color. So pick up on what those common threads are, but do not just take a bestseller listing and copy it. As a brand new shop, you truly have to have a better value proposition. And what that means is you have to have a better design. You have to have better photos. It has to be better than the market leader. You also will likely need to have better pricing, at least when you launch. You likely don't have enough to convince the customer to pay more for your product when you have no track record. All right, the second mistake I see people making is that they wait until they have 20 listings to properly launch their shop or to start marketing it through social media. So they think, okay, once I have the 20 listings, then I'll start driving traffic. Then I'll put some effort into getting it in front of people. But I recommend not waiting till you have 20 listings ready to publish to get them published. I recommend publishing them as you go and marketing them within the first 24 hours of publishing the listing. So that means driving traffic to it heavily with Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram. You can do TikTok as well. That works really well for some customers, but I recommend doing that right away when you launch a listing. So I actually have a whole strategy about how to create power listings, which are really listings that are designed to do at least $20,000 in their lifetime. And I give you the daily actions to blow your listings up. And this is all about driving that extra traffic. We're not paying for anything. It's a little bit of action and it goes a long way. Primarily, Facebook is going to be your best friend during this time. I actually had a student recently do the Facebook strategy on one listing, and in one evening, she made over $1,000 with one post. So the Facebook strategy works really well, really quickly. And actually the consensus with almost all of my students right now, and that's over 700, is that the Facebook strategy works the fastest. And it's probably one of their favorites in terms of the results they see and how quickly they see them. The third mistake that I see with brand new shops that are launching is that all of their mock-ups or photos look the same. This is not the time to lock in a decision on what mock-ups you're going to use. Right now is actually the time for testing. At this point, you have no idea which types of photos are going to work best for you, and you have no idea which types of photos your customers will respond to best. So do not decide on the mock-up that you are going to permanently use in your shop. And if you're taking photos yourself, do not use the same exact background for all of your photos. Test out different styles. Because what if testing this actually revealed that a certain style of mock-up or photo actually converted your customers 50% better than the others? If you don't test things, you won't know what could potentially be better. So I recommend testing at least 10 different types of photos in your listings. And I'm talking about the main listing photo, the one that shows up in search. All right, the fourth mistake that I see brand new shops making when they launch is pricing way too high. A lot of times, they want to show that they value their work and they want to create a perception of quality. They're concerned potentially about creating the wrong perception of their shop. But if you have no sales and you have no reviews, then the perception of your shop really couldn't get a whole lot worse. One thing that actually could make it worse though is having the shop open, published without sales for month after month after month. So as time goes on and you have no sales, no reviews, the perception will get lower. I really recommend when you launch your shop, rip off the band-aid, get your first 20 sales as quickly as possible. Your first 20 sales is not the time to worry about perception that might be created by pricing. And we actually have a few different pricing strategies that I give you in my program to protect yourself around a potential negative perception. There's really two different ways to go about it, and certain pricing strategies are better for certain categories and certain customers. The fifth mistake that I see new shops making when they launch is naming their shop something that's either tightly niched or using their first name for the business. So examples of this would be shops called things like the Christmas Corner, the Mug Shop, or maybe Sarah's Design Corner. The problem is that these names do not allow for growth and scaling and pivoting. I see this over and over again with brand new shops. You don't know what you are going to be known for when you launch your shop. There's no way to know 12 months from now what your shop is known for. And oftentimes what I'm seeing is that typically you become known for something that you never intended to become known for. Your bestseller becomes something that maybe you tested on a whim and suddenly it's your bestseller and that's what your shop is known for. I see this happen over and over again, almost with every single shop that I've worked with. So do not limit your potential by choosing a name that would hinder growth and expansion. Okay, also, do not spend weeks thinking of the name. Do not let choosing a name slow you down and prevent you from launching sooner. Same thing with filing your LLC. Just get your shop launched as a sole proprietor and then update it to an LLC when you get your EIN number. Remember, you can change your name at any time and you can change your business entity at any time as well. So if waiting for the perfect name to come to you is preventing you from getting your shop launched, launch your shop with the first thing you think of with the intention to definitely change the name later on. But by not launching your shop, you're actually losing money. It's the opportunity cost of lost sales. And in the sixth and final biggest mistake that I see is awful fonts. Terrible font combinations, fonts that do not go together, that just look off. I don't claim to be an expert in knowing what fonts go together, but I know how to figure it out. So I want to share with you my secret for doing that. So the fonts that I'm looking at are used on print-on-demand items, yes. Digital products, yes. The banner, the logo, yes. And even on overlays that might be on your listing photos. With the font choices, you do not want it to be obvious that you have no graphic design background. You don't want it to be that obvious. So my advice is this: look up on Google Canva Font Duo or Blogger Font Duo. Okay, the reason we look up Blogger Font Duo is because there's so many articles that give advice to bloggers and content creators about what fonts go together. So these articles are written by typically legit graphic designers, people who know what looks good together. So let them do that work for you versus racking your brain and scrolling, testing out different fonts, spending 15 minutes trying to figure out which two fonts could be complementary. I recommend not doing that and instead just looking up Canva Font Duo or Blogger Font Duo. Because sometimes we just need to learn from a professional, right? Someone else has put in the time and the money for the education to learn what looks good together. So it's worth it to seek a professional opinion here. But if you launch with cohesive font choices, it's going to be a much stronger launch for you. And remember, if you are selling a digital product, no one is going to buy it if you're using bad fonts. they're not. And if you have launched and maybe things aren't going so well, take a look at your fonts again, maybe revisit some things, because fonts really do elevate your overall brand. And if you have a design that's kind of sucking, right? It's not selling, maybe change the font and see what happens. Or you could do a little A/B test and create a new listing with the new font and see how it does in comparison. So I hope this was helpful for you if you recently launched a shop or if you are going to be launching a shop. If you want to have a really strong launch, definitely reach out. We have students that literally have done over $1,700 in their first 30 days from launching a brand new shop, which is not bad for a brand new shop. Etsy is definitely not a get-rich-quick thing, but I have students who have used my program and my strategies that I gave them to have a really strong launch where they got, over $1,700 in revenue in their first 30 days of opening a shop. So it's not a get-rich-quick thing, but your first month does not have to be crickets. You can have a strong launch, and it just takes some deeper level strategies. If you like videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. And if you need help with your shop, with your launch, definitely reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Dylan Jarris, or you can email me team@dylanjarris.com. And also there is a link in the description here to schedule a free call with my team. Now, when you do that, I do an analysis of your shop before you talk to us, so we know already what we want to talk to you about. And it's a free call, so feel free to schedule a call with us with that link below. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.